My name is Natalie Carter. I'm 29 years old. And this is how I took revenge on the woman who left me to bleed while pretending to be my savior. I remember the exact moment my world split open. It was a Tuesday. I was lying in a hospital bed, tubes in my arms, my body stitched together like some broken experiment. A nurse leaned over me and whispered, "Your best friend called us. She said you fell." I nodded, but inside I was screaming because I didn't fall. I was pushed. And the woman who pushed me? Rachel, my best friend, my sister in everything but blood, the girl who had been in my life since we were 12, when I defended her from bullies, and she gave me half of her sandwich without even asking. We'd been through everything together. First loves, first jobs, even the death of my mother. Rachel knew every scar on my heart because she'd been there for every one of them, until the night she carved a new one. It happened at a rooftop party. I was 2 drinks in, relaxed, loose, happy for once. We were laughing. Music thumped in the background. I turned my back for 1 second to take a selfie. And the next thing I remember is the cold edge of the concrete ledge against my lower back. Then the fall. Then darkness. When I woke up in the ER, the police had already taken Rachel's statement. She was drunk, she said. I tried to grab her hand, but she slipped. They believed her. Everyone did. She cried. She stayed at the hospital. She held my hand and told the nurses she'd never leave my side. I stared at her, broken, trying to understand how someone I loved could smile while I bled. But I stayed silent. I played along. I pretended I didn't remember a thing. Because that's what prey does before it learns how to hunt. In that hospital room, something inside me hardened. Every IV drip was a countdown. Every stitched wound was a reminder that I'd been naive enough to believe in lifelong friendship. Rachel had taken everything from me that night. My body, my peace, my trust. But she made one mistake. She didn't kill me. I spent the next 3 weeks healing, on the outside, at least. On the inside, I was building something. A version of myself that no longer trusted blindly. A woman who would make sure Rachel knew what it felt like to fall. Except when she hit the ground, no one would be there to save her. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about survival. And I was done pretending to be the victim. I grew up in New Jersey. Blue-collar roots. Nothing fancy. My dad was a mechanic who came home every night with grease-stained hands and a quiet, worn-out smile. My mom was a school secretary who knew every kid's name and never let me leave the house without breakfast. We were paycheck-to-paycheck people, the kind who fixed things instead of replacing them. There was no drama, no extravagance, just love and hard work. I wasn't the pretty one, or the popular one. I didn't get invited to parties or asked to homecoming, but I was smart, quiet smart. I learned how to observe people, their tells, their masks, the little cracks in their confidence. I was the girl who always had a book in her backpack and a plan in her head. And that plan was simple. Work hard, get out, and make something of myself. Then came college. And Rachel. God, Rachel. She was everything I wasn't. Rich, wild, magnetic. She walked into our dorm room wearing leather boots that probably cost more than my tuition and smiled like she owned the building. Her laugh could shake the walls. People gravitated toward her like moths to a bonfire. And I didn't even try to resist. She took one look at me, plain, practical me, and declared, "You're going to be my best friend." And somehow, I was. She pulled me into her world like a hurricane. Her friends became mine. Her chaos became my rhythm. I helped her pass economics. She helped me fake confidence. We balanced each other, I thought. My structure with her spontaneity, my loyalty with her ambition. I truly believed we were equals. But looking back, I was her shadow, her sidekick, the smart girl who made her look even shinier. After graduation, I had an idea, a wellness startup, clean supplements, mindfulness tools, real science behind the fluff. I spent the summer working at my dad's garage during the day and building formulas at night, sketching out names in my notebook. Glow Rise, that was mine. The name, the brand, the vision. Rachel, she saw dollar signs. She swooped in like it had always been hers. You build it, I'll sell it, she said. I handled the back end, product development, coding the website, negotiating vendors. Rachel brought the aesthetic, the glow, the story, and of course her connections, socialites, investors, influencers who wouldn't have looked twice at me if we passed on the street. We launched from our tiny apartment in Brooklyn, shared ramen on the floor, brainstormed packaging at 2 a.m. I thought we were building something together. We talked about opening a studio, going global, maybe even writing a book. We whispered secrets across the hallway like we were still in college about love, fear, family, and how scared we both were of failure. I never thought I had to protect myself from her until I did, because little cracks started to show. She'd take credit in interviews, claim my formulas as our invention when she didn't even know how many ingredients were in them. She controlled the social media, the branding, the storytelling, and she slowly erased me from all of it. People started to assume Glow Rise was hers alone, and Rachel never corrected them. But I stayed quiet. I made excuses. I told myself I didn't care about the spotlight, that what mattered was the mission. That's what loyalty does. It blinds you until you're already bleeding. We started arguing. I wanted to expand into low-income markets. She wanted to go luxury. I talked about integrity, accessibility. She talked about branding opportunities. Our late-night meetings turned into cold silences. She began locking her door, taking calls in secret. I felt the shift, but I didn't want to believe it. Then came that night, the rooftop party. We had just closed a massive deal, a celebrity endorsement that could change everything. I was tired. She was buzzing. She pulled me onto the rooftop for one last drink. I didn't want to go, but I went. And in that moment, standing beside the woman I once trusted with every part of myself, I saw it in her eyes. Something had changed. There was a coldness I didn't recognize. She smiled, said something about the stars, and then blackness. Now, weeks later, I'm sitting in our apartment again, the same one we built our dreams in. But everything feels different. The walls know the truth. My desk, my notes, my half-empty teacup, they all feel haunted. Rachel's still out there, running Glow Rise, giving interviews, posting filtered photos of green smoothies and healing quotes. She wears white now, talks about peace and gratitude. Meanwhile, I'm planning her downfall because I finally see what I was too blind to admit. Rachel didn't just push me off a rooftop. She'd been pushing me for years, and now I'm done falling. 6 months before the hospital. That's when I first felt the shift. Rachel started cancelling meetings last minute, or worse, holding them without me and pretending they slipped her mind. She'd come back with that glazed over smile, the kind you wear after lying to someone's face for the 10th time. When I asked for updates, she'd give vague answers. Just some influencer outreach, she'd shrug. Nothing major. But it was major, because my name, the one that used to be side by side with hers, started disappearing. First from our Instagram bio, then from the press kits, then from the investor decks. I said something. Of course I did. I asked her if something was going on, if we were still partners, if she still saw me in this future we'd built. She blinked and smiled too wide, the way people do when they're trying to sell you something. You're overthinking again, Nat, she said. You always do this. Then came the pitch, the big one, Series A funding, our chance to go from boutique to national. I had spent weeks on the deck, built it from scratch, every slide, every number. I'd rehearsed it in the mirror until my voice cracked. It was our presentation. But the night before the meeting, Rachel walked into our apartment, glossy and glowing, and dropped a bomb. I think I should go alone. I stared at her, speechless. It's just optics, she said, casually tossing her coat on the chair. You know how these guys are. They respond better to me. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. You think they'll invest because you're prettier? She tilted her head like I was a child. Don't be so sensitive, Nat. You're brilliant, but we have to be smart about this. I should have gone. I should have stormed in there anyway, claimed my space. But I didn't. I let her walk out the next morning in her cream blazer and nude heels, taking my pitch into that boardroom, and I stayed home, shrinking. That night, I waited for her. She came back humming, champagne on her breath. They loved it. She grinned, flopping onto the couch. We're in. We? I asked. She paused. Of course. But 3 days later, the company website launched a redesign. New colors, sleek fonts, a bio page, only one name, Rachel Langston, founder and CEO of Glow Rise. My name? Nowhere, not even in the fine print. I remember the scream that tore out of me. It wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure, a theft so precise it felt surgical. I threw my phone against the wall. It shattered, just like everything we'd built. I stormed into her room, holding my laptop screen up like evidence in court. What the hell is this? She didn't even flinch. She just sighed and rubbed her temples like I was a burden. Jesus, Nat, don't be dramatic. I built that company, I screamed. You were nothing but a face until I gave you a brand. She stood up slowly. Her eyes had that same dead calm they always did before she twisted a knife, metaphorical or otherwise. You're not CEO material. You never were. And that was it. The mask came off. The truth stepped into the light. I don't remember every word that followed. We both said things, ugly things. Years of tension came flooding out. Secrets, resentments, the bitterness we'd kept buried under shared to-do lists and kombucha rituals. Then came the moment. I turned around. I was done. I was going to pack. I was going to leave her, the company, everything behind. And that's when I felt it. The hands, the push, the cold rush of air. The rooftop came up fast. Or maybe I went down fast. I don't know. All I remember is the taste of blood in my mouth, the weight of my body broken against concrete, voices shouting, lights flashing, a paramedic saying, she's still conscious. And somewhere in the chaos, Rachel's voice, calm, rehearsed. She fell. I tried to help her. I saw her face. I swear I did. And in that moment, everything inside me went quiet. Not dead. Quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm. Because I had just lost everything. My body, my work, my trust, my identity, but not my memory, and definitely not my will to fight. The hospital stay was short. My bones healed faster than I expected, but the emotional recovery, endless. Every beep of a monitor, every antiseptic smell, Every creak of a nurse's shoes down the hallway made my skin crawl. Because Rachel had made herself the hero of my story while I was too sedated to speak. She told the doctors I'd been under a lot of stress. She told my father I'd suffered a psychotic break. Said she found me on the edge of the building, incoherent, and pulled me back from jumping. She cried when she said it. Told him I needed help, not pressure. That she'd take care of everything. And the world believed her, even my own father. He patted her shoulder when she left the hospital and thanked her for being such a good friend to Natalie. I couldn't speak. My throat was raw from the breathing tube. My ribs screamed when I moved. But inside, my mind was screaming louder. How could she twist the truth so fast? How could she win so easily? My phone was full of pity texts. Hey Nat, heard you're going through something. Take your time. We love you. Just heard from Rachel. She said you're doing better. Let us know if you need anything, okay? But wedged between the condolences were emails, legal ones, NDA threats from Rachel's lawyer. Glow-Rise had moved on. My voluntary leave had been accepted. I had no rights to the company's new formulations, materials, or branding. If I spoke publicly about my mental health crisis, I would be met with swift legal consequences. The message was loud and clear. Disappear. And for a while, I did. I moved back in with my dad. I slept in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by old trophies and Twilight posters. I stared at the ceiling for days, barely eating. Some nights, I'd dream of the rooftop, of the fall. I'd wake up gasping, tasting blood that wasn't there. I didn't know who I was anymore. Natalie Carter had been ambitious, focused, loyal. She'd believed in things like partnerships and sisterhood. She was dead. Then, one day, weeks later, I stopped by a gas station with my dad. He went in for coffee while I waited in the car. I was scrolling idly, numb, when the screen caught my breath. A magazine cover. Rachel Langston, CEO, visionary, survivor. Forbes 30 under 30. She wore white, again, like a twisted joke. The headline read, Turning Trauma into Triumph, How One Woman Rebuilt a Brand After Her Co-Founder's Collapse. Collapse. She'd rewritten my fall as a collapse, a weakness, a moment of mental fragility she'd overcome by shouldering the brand alone. I could barely breathe. That was the moment everything inside me snapped back into place. Not the old pieces. No, those were gone. But new ones, sharper, colder, ruthless. That's when the revenge began. The first step was erasure of myself. I couldn't fight Rachel Carter as Natalie Carter. She'd buried that version of me under NDA clauses and pity stories. So I became Natalie James. I changed my name legally, bought a burner phone, closed old accounts. I deleted every trace of who I had been, social media, business portfolios, even college forums. I was born again, clean, obscure, invisible. I moved to another city, smaller, quieter, a place where no one had heard of Glow-Rise or Rachel Langston. I found a therapist who specialized in trauma and whistleblower recovery. I didn't just tell her what happened. I studied it with her. My mind became a lab. I needed to understand how I let it happen, how I missed the signs, how to make sure it never happened again. Then I got to work. I spent weeks, months studying. I pored over everything: intellectual property law, tech startup litigation, corporate whistleblowing, data trails, metadata, email forensics. I learned what counted as evidence, what didn't. I even took a free course on chain of custody documentation from a legal nonprofit, because Rachel thought she erased me. But I was still alive, And I was watching. I started gathering, not from the outside, from inside. The servers I had coded for Glow Rise, I had backups, test environments, version history, and she'd never changed the admin passkey. Sloppy. I found documents that proved I wrote every line of the product code. Early product notes in my handwriting, video files of brainstorming sessions, even timestamps from emails that showed Rachel wasn't even present during key developments. I started building a digital war chest, but I didn't rush it. Revenge isn't about anger, it's about precision. I knew I couldn't just expose her. Not yet. If I did it too soon, I'd look bitter, unstable, everything she painted me to be. No, I needed to become someone she'd never see coming. So I reinvented myself. Natalie James got a new wardrobe, cleaner, bolder. She went to networking events, pitched small startups, quietly built consulting credibility in the wellness space under a pseudonym. I started dating again, slowly, carefully. 2 years passed. I built a new identity. Natalie James, consultant, minimalist, quiet power in black boots and clean lines. On paper, I was just another face in the startup world. But under the surface, I was sharpening every blade Rachel ever handed me. My days were filled with helping female led startups, the kind of women who had been talked over, pushed aside, or smiled at just before getting cut out. I taught them how to protect their IP, how to recognize red flags, how to not be me. At least, not the version of me that once thought sisterhood was bulletproof. But at night, that's when the real work happened. That's when I built SCAR, Survivors of Coerced Acquisition and Reputation Theft, a hidden website, invitation only, password protected, no names on the homepage, just truth. It held everything, every piece of proof I had hoarded, methodically, obsessively. The original formulas for the Glow Rise line, pulled from source files I had backed up years ago, time-stamped emails where I detailed product concepts, screenshots of Slack conversations, voice recordings from old brainstorming sessions, even video clips of me mixing early samples while Rachel sat scrolling on her phone. And then there was the money. Through Rachel's vanity and carelessness, I tracked investor fraud, capital siphoned into shell companies, wire transfers made at odd hours, fake contractor invoices to pay her boyfriend's gambling debts. It wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. But I wasn't going to court. Not yet. I wanted to do what she did to me, but worse. So I built my comeback. Not as Natalie Carter and not as Natalie James. I created an anonymous brand. Same formulas, but cleaner. Better packaging. No founder face, no fluff, just results. I launched in silence, used micro-influencers and targeted ads. My strategy was laser sharp, focus only on Rachel's audience. Women fed up with fake wellness, burned by overpriced trends, and ready for something real. At first, she didn't notice, just a ripple, then a wave, and then came the message, a simple video ad targeted in her primary markets. What if your favorite wellness brand was built on lies? What if the real founder never got credit? What if the truth was one click away? Then the link, scarnetwork.com/whistleblower. I didn't name her. I didn't have to. Word spread like fire. Within 72 hours, the site had over 200,000 hits. Reddit threads blew up. TikTok duets exploded. Twitter caught blood in the water. Rachel did exactly what I predicted. Panicked. She issued a denial within a day, then filed multiple lawsuits against random ex-employees, interns, even a journalist who just asked for comment. She never once said my name. She didn't know it yet until the podcast. She went on Found Her, one of the top entrepreneurship podcasts, to reclaim the narrative. She wore white again, her crisis color. She told the host how she'd been targeted by a malicious ex colleague who failed upward through lies. I watched it live, and just as she smiled into the camera, I hit publish. A separate screen, same time, same moment. My video, black background, clean lighting. Me, Natalie Carter, in a navy blazer, no makeup, just truth. My name is Natalie Carter. I'm the co founder and original creator of Glow Rise. And for 2 years, I let someone else steal my name, my story, and my life. Then came the receipts, slide after slide, formulas, emails, audio clips, a contract draft with both our names before it was edited, a voice memo of Rachel saying, "Don't worry, they'll never trace it back to you." The internet split wide open. Clips of her podcast froze mid smile and were posted side by side with mine. Side by side comparisons of product packaging. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag the real founder. Hashtag Natalie Carter. Hashtag glow lies. A petition to remove Rachel from her own company gained 200,000 signatures overnight. Investors started pulling out. Influencers deleted endorsements. Former employees came forward. People I never even spoke to, sharing how Rachel belittled them, ghosted invoices, or made them sign silence agreements. And then, the final blow. A former accountant leaked the shell company docs I had hinted at. One news outlet connected it to IRS fraud. The SEC opened an inquiry. Rachel went dark. For the first time in her curated, flawless existence, she had no statement. No white dress could fix this. I thought I'd feel victorious, invincible, but I didn't. I felt clean, like I had finally washed the blood off my name, and that was enough. I wasn't trying to be a hero, or an icon, or a founder worth funding. I just wanted to be seen, and now I was, on my terms. And Rachel, she'd have to learn what it felt like to watch everything she built on someone else's back burn. The fallout was brutal. For her, Glow Rise collapsed in a matter of weeks. Investors ghosted. Brand deals vanished. Government agencies started circling. The press turned from praise to dissection. Every sanitized lie Rachel had spun was pulled apart, headline by headline, tweet by tweet. She tried to settle the lawsuits quietly, tried to scrub her name. But the internet doesn't forget, and the truth doesn't go quietly, especially when it's been silenced for years. Screenshots, audio files, contracts, video clips, my voice, my face, my story. It was all out there now, not screaming, not begging, just undeniable. People finally saw me. They knew my name. I was invited to speak at panels, webinars, women in tech forums. They called me brave, said I was disrupting the culture of silence. My inbox was full of strangers, survivors, dreamers, daughters, fighters, all saying the same thing. Thank you for speaking up. But what mattered more than any of that? I saw myself. I had spent so long buried beneath Rachel's glow, under her shadow, her voice, her fame. I had forgotten what I looked like in the light. But this time, I didn't need anyone's permission to stand in it. I wasn't the quiet girl anymore. I wasn't the broken one. I wasn't just the girl who got pushed. I was the woman who got up, the one who studied, rebuilt, learned the law, changed her name, and came back stronger, the one who didn't just survive. She burned the lie to the ground and built truth in its place. People talk about revenge like it's poison, like it consumes you. But mine didn't. Mine became clarity. Mine became power. Mine became peace. And not because Rachel paid, because I stopped letting her name write my story. Now, I consult full time. I work with women who are inventing, building, healing, and I teach them how to protect their work, their voice, their names. I created a new venture, not to erase what happened, but to prove what happens next belongs entirely to me. And maybe that's the truest revenge of all. Not the fall, not the fight, but the freedom. Some nights, I still feel it. The phantom sting of concrete against my spine, the dizzy rush of air before the fall, the taste of blood in my mouth. Her voice telling the cops it was an accident, like she hadn't already rewritten the entire story before they arrived. Sometimes I wonder what she tells herself now, if she dreams about me, if she regrets anything at all. But then I look in the mirror and I see the scars, not the ones she left, but the ones I kept, the ones I didn't hide, the ones I turned into armor. I don't regret what I did because she left me bleeding and I came back healed with a blade forged from every lie she told and every truth she buried. I used to think revenge was about making someone pay. Now I know. It's about reminding them who they tried to erase and proving they failed. I'm not who I was. I'm better, quieter, sharper, whole. And if anyone ever tries to push me again, I'll fly. She healed her scars, then returned to leave some,